stop scrolling and pay attention, because this is going to alter your life. This is information that I've learned that I can no longer keep inside, because this is critical, not just for me or you, but for all of humanity to know about. I'm Dr. Rahi Victory, double board certified reproductive endocrinology and infertility specialist, and you need to hear about this today, because this is going to change the course of history for all of us. We've known now for a long time that the population growth rate or replacement rate is drastically declining in many countries. By 2050, only 50% of the world's countries will have a normal population replacement rate, approximately 2.1. And by 2100, 97% of countries will not meet their population replacement rate, meaning only 3% of countries in the world, all predicted to be in Africa, will actually meet population replacement rates. Add to that the fact that nearly 1/4 of young people do not want to get into a relationship or have children, and the rise of artificial intelligence, meaning we are going to have fewer and fewer jobs. And you have the perfect trifecta for an economic calamity, the likes of which we have never seen. This is going to make 2020's pandemic look like nothing, because we are going to have a massive increase in age discrepancy with an older population and younger population, a huge glut of jobs where we have not enough jobs for people, and there won't be enough tax revenue for governments to even run appropriately. I asked ChatGPT about this, and this is what she said when comparing the makeup of what's happening right now with population growth and decline to the COVID pandemic. Have a listen.
That's a really interesting comparison. So the COVID-19 pandemic had a massive and immediate global impact. It disrupted economies, healthcare systems, daily life, and led to a tragic loss of life over a relatively short period. It was a sudden shock that required urgent responses and had a very visible, immediate footprint on the world. In contrast, the ongoing decline in population replacement rates is more of a slow-moving, long-term shift. It doesn't have the same immediate, dramatic impact as a global pandemic, but it can reshape societies profoundly over decades. It's more of a gradual force that can lead to big changes in economic structure, social services, and how community function in the long run. So which is worse kind of depends on the lens you're using. COVID-19 was an acute crisis with a rapid, intense impact. The demographic decline is a slow burn issue that could end up having even more profound effects over a century. In the long term, yes, the demographic shift might actually be the more transformative and challenging factor, even if it doesn't feel as immediately dramatic as a pandemic.
And if that's not enough to convince you or scare you into action, have a listen to what happened when I asked Chat to consider the impact of this, not with the rosy, everything might work out scenario, but the worst case scenario where the population really begins to decline. And for evidence for this, remember that cities like London, England are now at 0.4 for the population replacement rate. That is less than 1/5 of what is necessary. So pay attention here.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the full-on nightmare scenario. So if we imagine the worst case, we're talking about a scenario where fertility rates plummet to extremely low levels, maybe well below 1 child per woman globally. You'd have a huge chunk of the population deciding not to have children at all. Combine that with factors like declining sperm quality and other environmental or health impacts on fertility, and you get a rapidly shrinking population. In this worst case scenario, within a few generations, the global population could collapse dramatically. You might see the world population halving or more within a century. Economies would struggle to function with a dwindling workforce and an overwhelmingly aging population. Social services could become unsustainable with far fewer young people supporting a huge number of elderly individuals. Eventually, you could face a scenario where entire regions or countries become sparsely populated, urban infrastructure might fall into disrepair, the global economy could enter a prolonged contraction, and countries might compete fiercely for the remaining younger workforce or turn to extreme technological solutions just to maintain basic services. In short, the absolute nightmare scenario is a world where the population shrinks so fast that economies and social systems just can't keep up, leading to widespread societal disruption. It's a slow motion kind of collapse, but one that could be very hard to reverse once it gets going.
That is what we are headed towards if we don't do something dramatic about the population replacement rate. Countries are now investing millions and billions of dollars into helping people with fertility, but unless we get the population to understand the impact of this, we are headed towards disaster. And if you need even more proof, just this morning, they announced that 3 of the guys that predicted the last collapse in the 2008 bubble pulled all of their money out of the stock market and put it against many companies, including things like Nvidia, because they are predicting a massive collapse. This could be the start of a global change event, the likes of which we have never seen. So before you start making any other decisions, start considering the impact of the fertility rate on your life, because decisions you may be making about your life might have much more of an impact than just on you.